Tariffs, Canadian sovereignty, war in Europe, Alberta separation. These are the topics that all Canadians are concerned about today, and we should be, as all of them can and will profoundly affect our future, both as a nation and as individuals. Many people mistakenly believe that economists are glorified accountants, and perhaps some of them are. But good economists, real economists, study how people, businesses, and governments use resources like money, labor, and materials. They analyze data, identify trends, and make predictions about things like prices, jobs, or economic growth. Their work helps guide decisions on government policies, investments, or business strategies. Martin Armstrong of Armstrong Economics has been an advisor to Margaret Thatcher. He's addressed U.S. Congress, and he knows personally many of the world's past and present leaders. In the early 1980s, Martin created his economic confidence model, with which he has successfully predicted the 1987 stock market crash, the decline of the British pound, the Russian financial crisis of the late 90s, the 2008 global financial crisis, Brexit, and the election of Donald Trump. In my first interview with Mr. Armstrong, released just a few weeks ago and titled "The EU Will Start World War III, and They Will Lose," he explained why Russia will not back down, why the EU will go to war, and predicted that the inevitable Russia-China coalition will win that war. In this second follow-up interview, Martin answers questions about America and Canada. What will happen if the US becomes involved in that war? His model's prediction that Alberta will separate from Canada, and what will happen to the rest of Canada as a result. We all want a secure future for ourselves and for our children. And when we know the future, we can make plans, not only to protect ourselves, but even to prosper. Martin, welcome back to the show. Thank you once again for the generous gift of your time.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
So last time we discussed the EU, Russia, China, the fact that there is a war coming, and you even went so far as to predict it is a war that the EU is going to lose. And so I think since we're here today to discuss North America, primarily the United States and Canada, I think the first question has to be, there's really two possibilities for that war as far as America and Canada are concerned. Canada almost certainly would get involved because we're a NATO state, we're under a liberal government. You even said that there might even be a draft. However, the U.S. has two possible futures. In one, the United States gets involved in that war, goes to war with Russia on the side of the EU. In the other, Donald Trump actually listens to your advice, withdraws from NATO, and America does not get involved. So, under those two scenarios, Martin, what happens?
Trump is pulling troops out of the EU right now. I have spoken to, I won't say who, but I mean to some very high-level people on Capitol Hill. And I was saying, look, we should get out of NATO because they're going to create a false flag to invoke Article 5, claim that Russia did something to drag us in. And I mean, I was surprised. Sometimes people would say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory or whatever. And the response was, no, you're right. We know. I was like, wow, okay, we're getting somewhere. But my problem is I'm afraid some of these neocons, and look, I've been to dinner with these people. You look in their eyes and you do not see a warm light. If you shake hands, you better take a shower afterwards, It's just, I can't explain it. Their thinking process is it seems to be just racist, or I don't know. I mean, I think that because of Khrushchev back in the, saying we will bury you, and all right, fine, everybody got against communism, but that was not to invade Europe for an economic reason. It was more of an economic, spreading a religion sort of thing. It's that communism is going to defeat evil capitalism. So, I mean, if you look at, for example, why did Japan go invade Manchuria? It was to get assets, energy, it was profitable. Okay. So if you look at most of the wars, why did they attempt to invade Russia? Because Russia is the richest country in the world from a natural resource perspective. So it is profitable if you can do it. All right. I mean, look, they tried back, in the 18th century, and that ended up with Peter the Great, Russia won then. Hitler tried it. Napoleon tried it, so at least there's profit to be achieved if you do that. On the other way around, economically, Russia would be out of its mind to invade Europe. They have nothing. Okay. I mean, you're not talking about, they get that, we're going to have gas reserves and energy and gold or whatever. You'll get nothing. All you'll get is headaches. And then maybe the French will say, are you going to pay our pensions now or what? You're going to get civil unrest, So, in all honesty, Russia has no interest in conquering Europe. There is nothing there. Even Trump's rhetoric with Canada, okay, at least there's natural resources there. All right. Also, if Russia were to attack the United States, the missiles would come over the top of the globe, over Canada. You don't go, the Earth, like even if you fly from New York to Tokyo, they fly over the top because it's a shorter distance than flying around the belly. All right. It's you can't go to Tokyo nonstop, across the, from across the middle of the earth. It's too big. Whereas, New York to Tokyo over the top, you can make a non-stop flight. So I understand Trump with the whole Canada issue from a national security perspective. Okay, I understand that. Plus, Canada has natural resources. So there is at least an economic reason. Whereas if you look at Russia versus Europe, there is none. So if you look at all the wars throughout history or whatever, they have been largely driven by economic reasons. Simple as that. I mean, it's, you don't go, waging war against somebody that's going to cost you money and you're going to get nothing out of it.
I think it's pretty obvious to anybody who understands the Alberta economy that, yes, becoming independent would be, assuming that they handle it correctly, and I love your suggestion of no income tax, that it's going to be very profitable, very beneficial for Alberta. But what happens to the rest of Canada?
The rest of Canada becomes a third world country. They're just going to. What may also help with your separation is that Europe is preparing for war. I think your Minister of Defense just came out today, I believe, and said they have to increase their spending dramatically for military. They're getting that decree from NATO.
Yes.
Next will be drafts.
There is a major stock market crash coming that will rival the crash of 1929. But there is a way to not only protect your wealth, but profit in the coming crash. The stock market chart today looks exactly like the charts prior to October 1929. Banks are disastrously over-leveraged, and several major U.S. banks have already failed. And the CDIC, the Canadian Deposit Insurance Corporation, doesn't have nearly enough money to cover depositors. If you have money in the stock market, it is time to get out. Governments and corporations around the world are buying up precious metals in record amounts because they know the coming crash will make their other assets nearly worthless. You can buy precious metals at wholesale prices through New World Precious Metals at premiums substantially below other Canadian brokerages, and you can even transfer savings in your RSP tax-free. To get more information, use the link below this video to contact New World Precious Metals. They will answer any questions you may have. You may also wish to contact Adrian Spitters, a personal financial consultant who successfully predicted the stock market crashes of 2000 and 2008. You will find Adrian's contact information below as well. Finally, if you want more information on the coming crash and what you can do to protect yourself, your family, and your assets, see my most recent quarterly update with my team of financial experts at ironwiredaily.com. By clicking the link below to contact New World Precious Metals, you will also be helping to support our efforts to bring Canadians the truth, as we are an approved affiliate partner.